We're looking inside Russia's housing market right now. I'm joined by the CEO of Etalon Group, Anton Evdokimov. Give us pretty rare insight. You're one of the biggest housing, run one of the biggest housing groups in the country. 4,500 employees. What a real estate portfolio of just about $2 billion right now. Look, we're always talking about how tough the economic situation is in Russia. The economy is set to contract by about 4%. What are you seeing with sales right now versus a year ago when this mess began?
Sales now is a little bit decreased, and the slowdowns, of course, it is affected by the situation. But on the residential real estate part of market, it is very important to take into account that the residential is less affected by this market, because this is a totally internal market.
And so when you say decrease, what kind of percentage are we talking about?
We can talk about the sales decrease, something like more or less 30%, but the demand still here. People just postponed their decision to make, they're making the decision of buying the apartments, because the residential demand in Russia is extremely huge. And this is a very attractive part of the business. And first of all, in Etalon, working for 27 years on this business, and it is still attractive, and we have a big potential in this business right now.
Look, I live in London. If demand or sales of houses in London was to drop by 30%, prices would plummet. I'm just guessing. Here, what are you seeing with prices of apartments? I know you were telling me earlier the average one-bedroom apartment in Moscow goes for about $120,000. What if you put it in the dollars? What are you seeing in terms of sales, pricing?
Because of it is internal market. We price our apartments in rubles, not in US dollars.
Sure.
That's why, and the prices are not increased dramatically. You know, the exchange rate is increased, but the prices increased just in line with inflation. So that's why it is still attractive for the people who receive their salaries and compensations in ruble. So there is a balance, a kind of balance. It's still balancing here. And that's why we are seeing that the postponing of the buying the residential apartments. It is a kind of temporary thing.
When do you think they're going to come back?
I have no crystal ball, of course, but I believe that it is a huge demand right now. And people are living, they are married, the children are born, so that's why they still need the place to live. I cannot imagine the situation when this demand will decrease, because their life is going on.
What is it that created this drop in sales of 30%? Is it the ruble? Is it the sanctions? Is it the economic climate?
It seems to me that, first of all, this is an expectations of people about the current moment, about the future, because they enter in long-term deals when they sign the agreement on buying the apartment. That's why, for them, it is important to know what happened tomorrow and day after tomorrow. That's why they're just waiting. This is the first point. And the second point is a normal situation, this kind of adjustment of the full of the economy to the new levels of exchange rate, to new levels of interest rates, and that's it. So I think that the adjustment is now in place, and we see that steadily the sales is going up a little bit right now.
We had the Bank of Russia yesterday drop the key rate to 11.5%.
Yes.
You know, for most people around the world, that's a pretty high interest rate. Is that keeping people away?
Comparing to, the most important thing is trend. The trend is on a good direction, the first point. The second point, if you compare it to the previous levels of interest rate, which was announced on December, November, January and February, it is a decrease in interest rate. Every time with the trend in this case is more important than the actual rates, the first point. And the second point is the level of inflation is also quite high. So we have even sometimes at some moments a negative interest rates. So that's why it is still attractive to entering the mortgage rate deals for the people.
In this whole conversation, Anton, you haven't mentioned the word sanctions yet. Are sanctions a problem here in Russia?
You know, I cannot answer for the full Russia. I can answer for the company and for this particular segment of the residential business. You know, for us, the most important thing for us, it's good relations and good expectations of the future. what happened right now, we are working on the long term. It is just it's like growing a baby. A lot of things happened during this period, but everything will be okay on the final point. That's why people are just waiting for a little bit. But I believe that everything will be fine.
Now your GDRs are listed in London.
Yes.
I'm guessing you think that they're undervalued.
I believe that. I believe that the quality of company are not
Your share prices really tanked over the last year.
I think that the quality of company are not reflected right now very good in the price of the share. That's why we are presenting the company to a vast majority of the investors in order to explain how it works, in order to the people to understand that everything is good and the potential is huge for Etalon Group.
And Anton, I'm sure you think about this. What do you think that is? So-called Russian premium? Is it people misunderstand the geopolitical risk, the macroeconomic risk, or they misunderstand your business?
It's too complicated to say in one word what is important or what is influence. But I think that this is a complex a number of parameters, and my view on that the most important is to explain. It is not that all the things which you are named is a temporary things. You have to explain to your partner who you are and what you are doing, and since that moment when they understand, everything will be fine.
Last question, which is an unfair one. Give me your forecast for the ruble. Where is it going to be at the end of 2015?
It will be better than now.
All right, we're going to leave it there. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
The CEO of Etalon Group joining us here. One of the biggest real estate companies. Pretty bullish, I guess, on the outlook there, saying that the demand is still there and they'll come back. And even though sales down 30%, he thinks that's going to improve next year.